So this is the most requested recipe or demonstration that everyone's asked for on Facebook. It's for cheese scones. Woo! The funniest part of all of this is the fact that no one in my household eats cheese scones. So we're going to be putting them in the freezer for after we're all out of isolation, and then we can share them with somebody else. So starting off, I've just tried to change all of my quantities because obviously we're just making them for home. So I've got 3 cups of self-raising flour in here. Again, if you haven't got self-raising flour, you've got plain flour, you can just add a teaspoon per cup of baking powder to make it work. So we've got 75 grams of butter, which I'm going to grate in, because cold butter out of the fridge, that's quite important. Well, that's how I do it anyway. And it's quite funny because this is a teeny weeny little grater and I've got a great big one at the calf. So it's not even that sharp either. Maybe this is something I should have prepared earlier, but bear with me and we'll finish grating it soon. Nearly there. So I also put a pinch of salt in the flour before we started. Here's how I do it. Break the butter up into the flour and I rub it in by hand. Every morning for 10 years, heaps and heaps and heaps of cheese scones. Maybe that's why we're not so keen on them. Yeah, in the early days, probably the children had them so many times because I used to bring things home from work that were left over. Yeah, they probably don't want to see another cheese scone. But if you have any of these left over after today, if you successfully make them and eat them, they're really nice as toppings on pies and macaroni cheese. We put it on that. You can just break them down into a crumb. They also freeze really well. Just wait for them to cool down and then wrap them individually and pop them in the freezer. And then when somebody is able to have visitors, you can just get them out of the freezer, pop them in the oven for a few minutes and refresh them, and you'll have freshly baked goods. Is everybody else the same? Has everybody got the cleanest house ever because you've done nothing else but clean for the last few days, and so if anyone drops in it'd be lovely, but nobody can drop in? It's quite frustrating. I haven't resorted to doing ironing yet though, so that's quite funny. But there's lots to do. So this does take a while, takes me a while, and I've got the fingers honed for this task already. But it's really important to break the butter down as much as possible. You want it to resemble the texture of breadcrumbs by the time it's rubbed in, but I'll give you a little look at that when we've got to that stage. And just pointing out that ordinarily at work I do have my hair tied up, but I'm having a little treat at the moment, having hair down and exciting times, makeup. So much to do with our time, isn't there? I haven't made scones in daylight for a long time either, because at 6 o'clock in the morning it's quite dark. So this is also a novelty. We're not far now. And you'll see here I've got a flan tin, a deep-sided flan tin to put my scones in when I've rolled them out. That's caused a lot of consternation over the years. I've actually had people write in to ask me where I buy my special scone tin, but it is just a round flan tin and we build them in a circle and then they come out looking like a flower. It's very pretty. But if you haven't got a round one at home, obviously, a roasting tin, metal is best because of the heat. But yeah, you can make them in anything. If you haven't got a cutter, you can use a glass. Or you can just put them as one big flat piece and cut through them with a knife. So there's lots of way of adapting things at the moment because it's not like we can pop to the shops and buy what we need. Right, so I think that's just about ready. So just see if Alice can get a quick close-up on our breadcrumb texture. Yeah. So now I've got a cup and a half of tasty cheddar cheese grated there. And then I've reserved a little bit to put on the top afterwards. So just sprinkle that in. Mix it through with your fingers. It's all about getting plenty of air in there as well. So we've got the cheese in, and then I make a well in the centre and add the milk slowly, because you don't want to make them too wet and then be struggling. So I'm going to put a cup and a half of milk in first of all. Just bring it together and cut through. I like to use a knife to make scones, I always have. But you know, you can use a metal spoon or something that will just move through easily. That's coming together nicely, so it's just literally a drop more milk will bring that together. The wetter you mix, the softer the scone, but we want them to have a rise on them. So I'll put another little drop in there. And that's it. So not too much, well, no handling at all. I've done it all with a knife. I'm just going to take it out onto the bench. There we go. And I just bring it together with my hands and then just press it down gently. I do like to put milk on the top just to get them to get a bit of a colour, but I haven't got a brush, can't find that. So just sprinkle the grated cheese over the top. Got your cutter. That's about the height you want. So then I just cut them from the edge, drop them in the tin, push it down, just keep folding it in. Get a few more. I'm hoping to get 7 out of this, that would be perfect. Put a bit more cheese in, you'll get a few more. Just almost 7. I'll take the big one from the middle, pop that there. There we go. Scrape that off. There we have it, and then we're going to put those in the oven. I do it at, as I said at the cafe, it's 190 on a turbo fan oven, so I'm going to see what happens today. I think we'll confirm the temperature afterwards, but I think 200 degrees on a fan oven is going to work better for the scones, so we'll get back to you when we get them out of the oven. And I made the cheese scones, and I'm going to get those out of the oven as well now, so it's party time! There we have it, cheese scones.